My name is LZ, and I promise to tell you the truth and nothing but the truth. The real question, however, is are you ready to hear it? Let's start from the very beginning. I've always had long hair, and I do long hair in ellipses because I look at what we considered long hair, now, and I'm like, this was long hair? But it was, okay? Neck length hair for a Nigerian is a big deal, right? And long hair also meant long in comparison to other people. I think there was only one person in my senior secondary school who had hair as long as I did. So it was a case of in the town of the blind, the one-eyed man was king. So this was long hair. I moved through life always hearing and behaving like my hair was long because it was. However, if you asked me that, what products do you use? What do you do to your hair? Blah, blah, blah. I had only one response. It's just genetics. Because this is my brother's hair. This is my second brother's hair. Simply put, we have hair in my immediate family. So I was thoroughly convinced that this was all genetics and that anybody who didn't have long hair simply didn't have the genes for it. And this is true. However, this truth slightly adjusted in 2022. Now, this is a video from Relaxer Day, November 2022, and you can see the absolute shock on my face. And even with that shock on my face, I promise you, I didn't really dip it like that. What I did next was cornrows. And when I was going to take down the cornrows, I decided that I wanted to film it as some braid out, tutorial for Instagram or something. And so it was when I was editing this braid out tutorial that I had to just stop and I'm like, hold on, this is ridiculous. Something happened here, And I started to just take all of these screenshots that I still post. Finally agreed that something ridiculous happened to my hair in 8 months. My hair had gone from neck length for the first time in like 10 years to back length in just 8 months. And I wasn't even sure how that happened. Remember, all I believed was the reason for hair growth is genetics. So am I saying that my genetics suddenly went into overdrive in 8 months? Now, of course, I took a lot of time and researched and figured out what I did and why it worked as crazily as it worked. And I put it in this ebook. But I want to start from that point of genetics in this video. We're so obsessed with products, oils, supplements, and whatnot. And while I do not speak against these, the truth is anybody selling you or talking to you about all of this without mentioning genetics is simply setting you up for frustration. Think about it. If hair growth product works the way social media advertises it, everybody should have waist-length hair. But that's not how it works. Because of this key factor that everybody wants to ignore, genetics. Now, I'm not saying products do not work. I'm not saying they don't matter. I'm, however, trying to show you where products come in. Because somewhere along the line, we seem to now start to believe that more products can somehow override biology. Spoiler alert. Products, oils, supplements can only influence hair growth conditions. Genetics is what predetermines this potential. Here's the science. Your genetics is what determines your growth rate, your hair density, strand thickness, curl pattern and texture pattern and whatnot, the growth cycle length, predisposition to hair loss. Basically, some people have extended hair growth cycle. This means that their hair stays longer in the growing phase. And this alone makes a huge difference in achievable hair length. Therefore, no two people can use the exact same routine, oils, shampoo, conditioners, whatnot, and have the exact same results. Why? Because biology isn't identical and there is nothing you can do about it. Let me phrase that again. There is nothing you can do to change what genetics have predetermined. All you can do is make sure that everything goes according to the plan of genetics and nothing hinders this plan. If your genes determine that you get 1 inch of growth every month, honey, you can do nothing to make it 2 inches of growth. You can only make sure that it is not half an inch of growth that you're getting from follicles that should give you 1 inch a month. If your genes dictate that your hair type and texture is, let me use the popular hair chart. If your genes dictate that your hair type is a type 3. There's nothing you can do to make it a type 4. All you can do is to make sure that it is not now looking like a type 2. If your genes dictate that your hair sheds off after 6 years, there's nothing you can do to make it as long as 8 years. All you can do is to make sure that it is not shedding off in year 4. Do you get the point? So while the internet loves hair growth products, hair growth oils, hair growth butters, supplements, and whatnot, there's really nothing wrong with it. But here's where things get misleading. These products actually do not change, cannot change your genetic rate. What they, however, do is that they improve your scalp health. They create a more suitable environment right there on your scalp for growth to happen as it should. They create a moisture balance. Therefore, any oil, cream, products that seems as though it is increasing the growth rate of your hair is at best removing the factors that have been inhibiting that growth rate. So I'm not against hair growth products or potions. I'm only maintaining that they really do not increase hair growth rate. They simply were probably fixing what was inhibiting that growth. 70 to 90% of the time, what is actually inhibiting your growth is actually not scalp related. And so you keep trying to stimulate a scalp and follicles in vain. This is the point where a lot of people get frustrated. Just not understanding the fact that your hair is growing. Human hair naturally grows, always growing, except you have a medical condition, serious alopecia, or you're undergoing some medical treatment that begins to affect this process. Aside this, your hair grows. That's literally the epiphany, that I had in 2022 that made me title the ebook, Your Hair Grows. As importantly as I want to stress the importance of genes, the question now becomes, if my hair is growing, where is the length? Where is the growth? Why am I not seeing the growth? 70 to 90% of the time, the issue is not with the production of the growth. The real question is, are you retaining the growth? Now, this is where the conversation starts from. I was right here for 10 whole years, never bothered about growing my hair because I was sure that it was genes, right? This is the best that my genes can give me. This is what my genes can produce. That was my mindset, especially since looking at everybody else around me and I was still the boss of everybody in that regard. That's why I always say that hair growth journey is not trying to make your hair look like mine. Hair growth journey is you versus you. What your hair looks like yesterday versus what it looks like today. So if your hair is growing, why is your hair on the same length for 10 years? This is the next conversation, which has already been perfectly covered from the back end to the front end in this ebook. I tell you, I'm not just trying to sell a ebook. I'm trying to get you to pay attention. I need to show you the front end and the back end, the science, and frankly, the common sense of all of this, of seeing this growth. If this video was helpful, I hope you give it a thumbs up. Tell me in the comment section. Ask me any question, right? And there's something you're forgetting. Hitting the subscribe button. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.